Until one day, I suddenly realized that my scar and my powers were the reason behind all these bad things that were happening. Basically, whenever I'd use my powers on someone, not only did I knock them out because I was angry with them, but my hatred towards them would become a lot more stronger. After that, it would feel so much better, just by using my powers on them for my revenge for the bad thing they did to me. I mean, when I put it all together, it all started to make complete sense. They even tried to get my best friend to use me just to kill Echo, considering all the hatred I had towards her. I guess Jackson wasn't only manipulating me in general, but my powers too. However, it didn't quite work out on his part, since it cost him his life instead of Echo's, which I'm glad it went that way. However, it still doesn't make up for the fact that Jackson was sick in the head. If he was still alive now, he would be in prison with a life sentence. However, despite the dark side to my powers, they also protected me at the same time. I mean, they must have detected that Jackson was a bad person in some way, since all my hatred towards him was coming out without me realizing that he wasn't who I thought he really was, especially in the end when I killed him. I guess my powers knew from the start what kind of person he was, so at least they can protect me from people like him. The only way I can get rid of my powers was by cutting my hair off, which will get rid of my scar. However, if I were to do this, I would suffer a slow, painful death. So I'm deciding to keep my powers for the rest of my life. I mean, I can remember a few years ago when I did it. If I were to do that again, I could very well easily die. I guess I just got very lucky the first time I did it. I ended up telling Aspen and Echo all my conclusions to do with my powers, and they were wondering who told me all this, and I replied with, Mum and Dad explained it to me about my powers kind of protecting me the whole time from Jackson without me realizing it. Do your parents have powers like you by any chance? Echo asked. No, they don't, surprisingly, I replied back. Then how do you have powers? Echo asked, sounding curious. I don't know. I guess I just never thought to ask them on how I got them, I continued. This only made me want to find out exactly on how I got my powers in the first place, and more about them too. So I decided to ask my parents later that day on the phone. So I rang them up, and when they answered, I told them all my questions that I had about my powers, and they explained everything to me. Well, it all started when you were first born, with a small scar on the right side of your face. At first we thought it was just a normal birthmark, but as you got bigger every year, this meant that your powers are only getting stronger. So because we didn't know about your powers at the time, we started to get extremely worried and asking many doctors what was going on with your scar, but they didn't know anything and why it was happening. Until one day, you were around 6 years old, playing around with some objects in the garden. You were knocking them out and smashing them into pieces without touching them. This was when we had discovered that you had superpowers all along. We felt relieved that we finally knew why you had the scar on your face. You told us everything that you knew about your powers and how they worked. However, how you got them, well, we found out later on that your powers came from being born next to a rare golden leaf plant. Not only that, but I remember I touched it too, which only meant your powers would be stronger the older you got. This finally made complete sense now, I said as we said our goodbyes and put the phone down. I told Aspen and Echo everything that my parents had told me about my powers. They were amazed by the whole story and the history about it all, and how it all happened. Heck, even I was, to be fair. However, despite all this information that I got about my powers, a couple questions still remained in my mind, like who planted the golden leaf plant? And where did it come from? I guess I'll find out one day, but for now I'm glad I know what I know about my powers, even if there's more information about them out there still. Anyway, for now I'm glad to have my amazing best friends around me. Not only that, I have even met someone. His name is Claude and he's the sweetest guy ever, who knows about my powers and scar, and how it all works, and he finds it so awesome and treats me really well. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better life or better people to be around with.